This podcast is part of the Game and Entertainment Network. Visit tgenetwork.net to find the latest episodes from all our shows.
It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog and Star Wars gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the thing, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belgast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, it's that time again. Time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 89. Tonight, I'm joined by Ashgar.
Hello.
Dallian.
Hello.
Grace.
Good evening.
Neph.
Hello.
Tam.
Hello.
And Thalen.
Hi there.
So, a thing happened this week, and it's basically, apparently, the entire internet decided the statute of limitations was up for Star Wars Force Awakens.
So fair warning, if you're still avoiding spoilers, you might want to just tune in next week.
Yeah, pretty much. And we were actually going to do this show the week after it came out, and pretty much collectively decided it was too soon. So instead, I had originally said, I'm not going to talk about it until the 18th. Well, I'll give them a full month. And Force Awakens spoilers have been everywhere this week. Thalen was talking about it before we started recording that even NPR spoiled Force Awakens this week.
Yep, they had an interview with J.J. Abrams, and they talked about all sorts of things.
Yeah, and all manner of things just started flooding the market. Like, I've seen Wave 2 Star Wars Lego stuff that are slightly spoilery. I've seen color-corrected images of Snoke hit the internet. So, as a result, we are going to do our Star Wars Force Awakens show, where we talk about all the things that we've really already been talking about in private over the last month. Actually, just 3 weeks?
Hasn't even quite been a month yet, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Just short.
2.5, 3 weeks, something like that. It feels like it's been a while, but I've seen it twice. How many times has everybody else seen it?
Just
3.
once.
3.
3 as well.
Once.
I've seen it twice.
I still want to go see it another time because I haven't seen it in 3D in any form factor that's 3D, either IMAX or normal.
I mean, I'll probably see it at least once more, but I don't feel like there's any hurry because it's going to be in theaters forever.
How much is it brought in already?
Over $1 billion.
Wow.
It is now the highest grossing film ever. It beat Avatar.
Hooray. Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness.
Some of us are going to be in San Antonio in a couple weeks. We could go see it.
I don't even know where a movie theater is in relation to where we're going to be.
I haven't the slightest clue.
Welcome to having the internet.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yes, the internet can help us there.
So, I gotta say, throughout this entire process, I tried really hard to keep my hype down.
Yeah, same here, because
I didn't bother.
I had been disappointed before.
Well, I can remember being so irrationally hyped when Phantom Menace came out.
I managed to convince myself it was a good movie, until about a week after I had seen it, and it finally truly sunk in that no, it was mediocre at best.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I had so much hype for Phantom Menace, and it made me really sad in the end, and I still got some hype for the other prequels, and they totally let me down. And to the point where even though the third one wasn't that bad, I still kind of hate it just because they all sort of felt like letdowns. And so I feel like for this one, I really just closed myself off to it. I saw you guys over the course of the few weeks leading up to the release sort of getting back into SWTOR and starting to get hyped. And I still kept myself kind of closed off right up until the last minute. And then when we were actually going to the movie theater, then I pretty much exploded with hype.
I tried really hard not to get my hopes up just in case it was another prequel situation.
It was about a month is when, maybe a month and a half until the release, when it really hit me. And I think mostly it was coming back into Star Wars The Old Republic that, churned through the hype cycle big time and made me remember that, oh hey, there absolutely was Star Wars stuff that I did love.
I'm still a little bit bitter about the continuity going away from the books, even though that kind of went to south after a little bit anyway. But
yeah, there's a lot of bad that got swept away there. I'm willing to let go of Thrawn and things like that if it also means that Chewie didn't get hit by a moon.
Oh yeah, anything after the Use and Vong thing, I'm fine with that being gone. Stuff before that, I kind of like most of that.
And it's not like they aren't, bringing a good bit of that stuff back here and there anyway. So
Yeah, they're very clearly thinking about it and cherry picking what they like.
yeah.
And I think that's great.
Well, and it's also kind of left us in this weird state of, I know how things were before they threw out the expanded universe, and part of me thinks that, they will end up back in that order, but yeah, I don't know. Like, I have no idea what they're actually going to bring back.
I think like my first issue with the movie was that they named Kylo Ren's name as Ben, and I'm like, that's Luke's son's name, not.
He should be Jason now.
I'm actually kind of glad they didn't keep that name.
Yeah, me too.
So on that, because we were mentioning spoilers that we've seen recently, I just bought Super Smash Brothers on the Wii U today, and that was a spoiler. And one of like the comments on like the background of a level was Kylo Ren is Han's son.
What?
Gotta love that
Wow.
Miiverse stage.
Wow.
Wow.
If we're doing that in Xenoblade 2, also can show messages from Miiverse, and it has Star Wars spoilers in it.
I've heard Twitch is a horrible place to be, or was a horrible place to be the days after the show came out.
Oh God, I can only
So,
imagine.
I have a story about, like, I went opening night. I went on Thursday, well, actually, day before opening night. Thursday at 7 o'clock was the first showing here. Like, literally, the first showing, period. They apparently had one for staff of the theater earlier in the day, and my friend's out getting drinks from the concession stand, and there's an assistant manager there, and she's sitting there, and she's asking if we've seen it, and I'm thinking, how could we? This is the first showing. And she's talking about, well, it's really good. I think you'll like it. But I can't believe you don't see Luke until the end.
What?
Yep. Assistant manager
better.
of the theater.
No.
That's awful.
The show hasn't even happened yet. This is the first showing at 7 o'clock on Thursday.
I mean, it could have been a worse spoiler, but still, that was
Oh yeah, it could have been so much
bad.
worse. But
Like, Luke was going to be in it, but still.
That just
What?
makes me think of the episode of How I Met Your Mother where Allison Hannigan, they describe her "you're dead to me" eyes, and I would have given that person that look.
Well, he's just like, but we're both just mortified. Like, I can't believe it. It's not just a random employee. This is an assistant manager.
I think it was Kodra who posted in chat like one day the picture of the "Do not spoil this for me" on the whiteboard. I took that picture and I emailed it out to everybody in my company, and like seriously, I'm like, I told them in the emails, like, do not spoil. So if you come by my desk and spoil this for me, I will hunt you down. And they all thought I drew it. I'm like, no, I didn't draw that, but
I will.
But I will. In your blood.
I'm not entirely sure how I managed it, but I didn't see it until the following weekend, and I somehow managed to completely avoid spoilers, without shutting myself off from the internet entirely. It was amazing.
So the weird thing about this situation is I feel like it was so good that everyone wanted to preserve that experience for as many people as they could.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like.
Because always in the past, the people that have spoiled things are the people that were like disappointed in it somehow, or that are just internet assholes. But
Just assholes, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
Just the
was
literal worst.
playing SWTOR after, because I was filled with Star Wars
Determination?
love.
Oh.
And like immediately upon like zoning into Drum and Cost, like the entire general chat was full of like the worst possible spoilers and people being completely terrible. It's like, of all the games, like, you would think this one, maybe people would have enough love of Star Wars to not be that guy. But no, people are still assholes on the internet.
I heard it was really bad in like Star Wars Battlefront.
I wouldn't be
Somehow I was
surprised.
Well, I think I was watching like an Angry Joe live stream, and like he has a thing set up where if you donate, you can put a comment up on the screen, and someone did a donation and put "Han dies."
Okay, maybe this is just me, but I feel like that was the least spoilery thing that happened in the movie.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, yes, it's a big giant spoiler, but
Has no one
that's
followed
Yeah.
the animosity of Harrison Ford over the last 3 decades.
Yes,
No.
he's wanted Han dead for literally 30 years. There was no way this was not happening.
I didn't know about that until after I saw the movie, but I kind of expected that to happen.
Yeah, like every time anybody ever asks him about Star Wars, you can just see him kind of shut down.
He just starts raging and never stops.
Like, okay, so people are totally playing this like he did it on purpose, but on, God, I can't think of the guy's name from Saturday Night Live, took over the Tonight Show.
Jimmy Fallon?
Jimmy Fallon, yes. On the Jimmy Fallon Show, Jimmy Fallon brought out an original Han Solo 1970s Barbie-sized figure, and Harrison broke it. Like, he snapped the knee off. And like, people are talking about it being, oh, it was a joke. But I know what an original one looks like versus what the reprints later look like. And I seriously think he just trashed the doll just to be spiteful.
Oh, man. I believe it.
I believe it.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, so to me, like, that was one of the things I knew had to happen. Like, there was no way it wasn't happening. I just didn't know how it was going to happen.
Yeah, I was like 80% certain going in, and then as soon as it was revealed that Kylo Ren was his son, I was like, well, that's
we know what's happening.
Yep. But it definitely still surprised people. I mean, my poor mom was heartbroken. Like, she was just so sad when I finally talked to her after she saw it. Like,
My mom
she
was
like,
too.
I really loved it. Except that part, it was awful. I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
My only complaint there is this is the one time when it would have been perfect for Chewie to rip someone's arms off.
Going into the theater the second time, and I knew it was coming. You could hear everybody, like, I noticed everybody in the audience that hadn't seen it was like a collective gasp of what?
Yeah.
But speaking of Chewie, you saw that comic that somebody posted in our Slack. That was little Ben. He couldn't rip his arms off.
Well, no, I meant like that was a time for some stormtroopers.
Oh, well, yeah, he could have ripped his arms.
Yeah, we've heard about him ripping people's arms off for years, but this would have been the time.
I don't know. I'm really kind of hoping that he gets it in the end because I really don't want him to be redeemed. I want him to go down in a pit.
I don't know. I don't know what I want. I have a feeling by the end of this...
that is how you unlock the dark side.
Well, okay. I am no stranger to dark side points.
I don't know. I didn't like his character at all. Like, he's just a whiny baby.
See, I actually liked that about him.
Yeah.
I love that he's a villain with an arc.
Yeah,
Well,
and he's not, I don't know, I mean, he still seems a bit like, not quite a kid, but he obviously is still figuring out who the hell he is. He knows who he wants to be, but he's not
Darth
that
Vader,
guy.
But he's not anywhere near.
He's clearly very conflicted.
I think he gave me my biggest MST3K moment in the entire movie is when he takes his helmet off the first time when he's interrogating Rey and his hair is just perfect. And I'm like, no, you're wearing a helmet all day and night. Your hair is going to be messed up and matted down to your head.
And your face is going to be blushed as hell from breathing inside a hot helmet.
The Force can do amazing things.
Apparently.
It gives you a really incredible perm.
He has the best hair the dark side has to offer.
I'm really intrigued by Kylo Ren, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he develops. Because I felt like that is what Anakin Skywalker should have been like in the second and third movies in the prequels.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That is someone conflicted, full of emotion, who falls to the dark side due to his passions.
And technically, that does match the books because I think his oldest son in the books does eventually go dark side, at least for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah, he does.
reading it, but
He does, and Anakin does too, I believe.
I thought Anakin died early on in the Yuuzhan Vong, like he never went dark side.
I don't know. I didn't read any of the Yuuzhan Vong stuff, so it's all secondhand as far as I.
Yeah, he died in I don't remember how many books into it, but he died early on.
I do know that Jason and Jaina end up, in a big fight at the end.
Having the first time I saw it, I had a lot of problems with it. Seeing the second time was better, and now I've come to terms with everything I didn't like.
See, I just was so filled with joy the first time that I saw it. Like, I was, because I had really closed myself off for so long, and even just watched all my friends get hype and still stayed, shut down about it. And I walked out of that movie theater and was like, okay, Disney, take all of my money. Give me all of the Star Wars forever.
For me, it's 30 years of joy that I've had pent up inside of me just came rushing all out at that night, and I rode the high for a full week later.
I'm still writing it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think the first time I saw it, though, I was like, I enjoyed it. I just was being a little overly critical because of the other movies. So the second time I was going in having seen it, so I was just enjoying it.
I mean, for me, like, there is no diminishing the importance and the joy of, seeing the Jedi be, like, this awesome girl who is, like, completely competent and kicking butt. I mean, that was, like, the culmination of every childhood dream, so, yeah.
Rey is amazing, and I love her.
It's awesome.
There's everything about that character that I love. Like, I mean, there's no negative aspect. She's inquisitive and, a natural to a lot of the things that she does that she's had to learn on this desert planet. And it's a horrible, soul-crushing desert planet, but she still has hope. You can see she has all this hope, still inside of her that they haven't crushed out. And I don't know, like, she's just so cool.
And it seems like she's almost Starkiller level powerful, or is going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
And all of the new characters they did a really good job of making these really likable characters who interact really well, and I want to see what happens to them all.
I'm gonna be that person. I hope Finn gets eaten by a Sarlacc.
Really?
What?
Finn is awesome.
Get out.
I understand his character, and they did a good job with his character, so much to the point that I don't like his character.
I feel like, even though, like, Rey is the culmination of, like, all of my childhood dreams, like, Finn is by far my favorite character of the movie. Like, I loved him.
Have any of you guys read up on any of the backstories of the characters that have been in the novelizations? Because, like, they're...
Yes.
Okay, so I was reading Finn's, and it is the most awesome backstory.
Oh, it's really cool.
So basically, they go into how the First Order trains their stormtroopers, where they're basically like in these little pods of 4 troopers, and one of them is the leader, and then the other 3 train with that leader, and Finn is the leader. And he goes into the backstory of, like, his people. And one of them is this, there's Zero and Slip, and I forget the other one's name. Nines, yeah.
Nines.
And then Slip is basically a slip-up.
Club with the riot stick. That's Nines, right?
Yep. Well, that's what the people are saying, is that's Nines.
Yeah,
and
it's been established now.
And the person who puts the face print on his mask is Slip.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so you see this, like, and he didn't have a name. Like, everybody just called him his designation, even though everyone else in his group had a nickname. So it's just so cool when Poe gives a, like, that didn't make sense to me, why he would latch on to that name so hard immediately. But after reading that little bit, it makes total sense. Like, he just wanted to have a name.
I wanted there to be a Adventure Time joke where either someone was named Jake, so it could have been Finn and Jake.
Well, and Finn and Poe both have to survive so that they can live happily ever after together.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Who
Because that's the clear romance in the movie.
Yeah.
And both actors have since said, and I mean, maybe they were joking, but they've both said that they were playing it as romance, and I believe it.
So I don't remember who posted it, that there was a picture of Kylo Ren and Rey doing the mind, like reading each other's mind, and he sees her imagining Finn and Poe together.
Yes, I seen that one.
I mean, I didn't hate Finn. I don't know. The whole thing with him and the lightsaber fighting Kylo Ren I didn't like that, because I'm like, Kylo Ren must be the worst Jedi ever, because
He got hit with the bowcaster.
He's
Yeah, he'd been
kind
through a
of
lot by that
injured.
point.
well, still, I mean, he could have used the Force to freeze Finn and just chop him in half.
Well,
I
yeah,
don't know,
but
he used the Force to not fucking die to a bow.
Yeah.
Did you see what that bowcaster did
Yeah.
to every single other person it hit?
Yeah, he used
It
up
was
all his stamina
vicious.
blocking the bowcaster, so he would have been going into wounds.
but he still got hit by
the
it.
Force against Finn.
Yeah, like, I mean, he's using the Force to keep from going into shock.
Yeah.
Also, you could tell he was playing around with Finn until Finn actually hurt him.
Yeah, I think the novelization actually makes that somewhat explicit, as I
I could-
understand it.
I could buy that he's toying with him. I could buy that.
Yeah, because he knows that he's, this guy doesn't stand a chance against him, so he's,
Yeah, because as soon as Finn got a hit on him,
he
disarmed him in
toast.
like 2 seconds.
Like Finn got this glancing hit, and Rhaena's like, "Oh, okay, we're done." No, that was annoying. We're done.
Well, and it fits Finn's personality to try and use a lightsaber because apparently he was like a commando badass, and that his only real flaw was that he had empathy for his people.
Mm-hmm.
If they really wanted to do something dramatic, they could have just had him get sliced in half, like vertically. That'd been nice.
No.
I'm honestly not expecting both Finn and Poe to survive the series.
No.
Well, Poe wasn't supposed to survive the first movie. I mean,
Yeah.
he was supposed to be dead on Jakku originally.
Yep. I went into this totally expecting Poe to be this dick because like he's the best pilot in the...
Yeah, like all the setup are like, Poe is a cocky ace pilot. And I'm like, man, I don't want any part of it, cocky ace pilots. And then turns out he's awesome.
He's a thoroughly charming cocky ace pilot,
Right?
and I just heart him.
He's the best.
Well, and his cockiness is well earned because how many TIE fighters did you count him taking down, Tam?
11.
11, and he still has time to strafe the ground.
Yeah.
He's also Apocalypse.
That too.
Who thanks to the internet, I have to say, he looks like Ivan Ooze from Power Rangers. I didn't come up with that. I saw that like the day after they released the first set photo of Apocalypse. Somebody made the comment of he looks like Ivan Ooze. But as to the Poe character, I like Poe. I want his Lego X-wing.
It comes with BB-8. Okay, so I got to go off on a BB-8 thing because like before the movie came out, I was kind of annoyed with BB-8. Like I thought they were trying too hard to make this adorable robot, and I guess like I didn't see. It felt like it was kind of a weird design for a robot for an astromech, but man, did BB-8 redeem everything about that, and it's the most adorable robot ever.
Yeah.
Yep. I think, I mean, I was sort of in the same boat, and I've heard a lot of people say the same thing. Like, you're sort of sold really big on BB-8 before the movie came out, and it's like, oh, great, this is going to be this movie's Jar Jar, right? It's like this, like, kids thing that's going to be cute and dumb, and
Well,
going to be annoying.
It is a Disney film. Like, I mean, they have weird animal companions. I totally expected BB-8 to be the weird animal companion in this movie, but he's just so damn charming. And like,
right?
I was won over the second BB-8 flipped the ladder to do a thumbs up.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I was won over even before that, but that moment was amazing. But his little, like the fact that his little head can move around so much on the body, like it makes him so weirdly expressive, and it was incredibly cute.
Yeah, so I was gonna say that the little thumbs up was my favorite part with him, but yeah, they did a really good job with him because he can get the emotion out of his movements.
Okay, so conspiracy theory time. Why can Rey... I can get her understanding astromech droids, but why can she also speak or understand Wookiee? Like, do you think Jakku has a lot of Wookiees?
Well,
I mean, seriously.
Well, I think it's because she's like a trader, so she probably has had to trade with them.
Yeah, a lot of
that's possible.
It seems like a lot of people who deal with mercenaries or other lowlifes tend to deal with Wookiees a lot. I don't know what the deal is there.
Well, people like Zerkakort keep going down and stealing them, to sell them into indentured servitude.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really hoping that they make Zerka actually canon. Because supposedly, like, the Zerka symbol is in the flags at Maz's house.
Yeah, there's a bunch. There's that shot where they're
that
going
scene
in there.
Brings so many things in.
That scene is a really huge scene.
I mean, Zerkakor is one of those things that it would be very strange for them to actively remove from canon.
Well, the thing is like, okay, so you have two cohesive canons. You basically have the old trilogy plus 7, and then you have all of the Old Republic stuff that's been managed by BioWare. And if they would just unite those two and use those two as the template to build out the in-between, I would be so happy.
BioWare Wizards.
Well, BioWare Wizards and Dark Horse Comics. because they basically all written for that timeline.
Yeah, the Dark Horse stuff the Old Republic Dark Horse stuff, they might keep. I'm still waiting for a giant green rabbit to show up somewhere. I want the giant green rabbit back now that George Lucas isn't in charge anymore.
I don't even remember his name, but he was awesome.
Jackson.
He
was in all of 3, maybe 4 issues of the Marvel Star Wars comic.
But they happen to be the ones.
So much.
They happen to be the ones I had as a kid, though.
Yeah.
Although for years I thought that was Bucky O'Hare. Like I totally didn't remember him as being a unique character of his own until I went back and looked him up.
It's weird how many anthropomorphic comic book rabbits there are. Why rabbits?
People like rabbits.
Because bunny ears are cute.
I'm just picturing in my head the one from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Usagi Yojimbo, who is not from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, it's his own comic.
Whoa.
And he is amazing.
Yeah,
using that.
Well, Usagi Yojimbo was released as part of the Turtles line, but there were
shown up in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because all of the black and white comics creators of that time had a tendency to let each other's characters show up in each other's comics. So the Turtles met Usagi Yojimbo and
he
Stan
must have
Sakai
been in the cartoon then.
BK. Oh yeah.
He was in the cartoon. He was also in the toy line, but there were a bunch of other characters in that toy line that were also independent comics of their own. Because
I have never read the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic books.
You should.
Oh, they're good.
Also read Usagi Yojimbo because it is amazing.
As soon as it comes onto a Humble Bundle, I'll absolutely buy it.
I doubt it'll ever. I don't even know who owns the rights to all those old indie comics.
Most of them.
Still the original creators?
I think is IDW now.
I'm pretty sure they've had an IDW bundle.
Usagi is mostly Dark Horse. The earliest stuff is Fantagraphics.
Well, some of that early stuff was released by Eclipse too at one point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know they've done Dark Horse and IDW bundles because I've got a lot of comic books from that. So maybe one day.
Anyway, that was a long offshoot. So the big complaint that I've heard, and I don't really feel like it has a lot of merit, but it bears talking about, is how similar this movie was to, episode 4. And I get it, but I feel like it was something that had to happen.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think as a statement, it has merit because it's true. There's a lot of overlap or similarity, but I don't think that detracts from this movie. I think you're right. It did need to have that overlap.
Yeah, I feel like J.J. Abrams had to show us that he could do a good Star Wars movie before they could then, go off and do something a little different with the sequels.
Well, my thing about it is that they made a joke about it in the movie, so it's fine because Han Solo jokes, "Hey, it's just a big planet that blows things up. We've done this."
Yeah.
I think the big thing for me is we had to go back to episode 4 to kind of set the new characters up to take over the reins, and above all else, I feel like that was the purpose of this movie. Was not only to dig out the old characters and let them go on one last ride, but also to set up a new generation of characters to carry the franchise forward. And man, I really loved Maz, and I am so happy she made it out of the whole fight at her place okay, or she seems to have.
I wasn't real sure about Maz at first, but yeah, I ended up really liking her. And she better show back up so she can explain how she got Luke's lightsaber.
Yeah, I was going to say, she needs to come back so she can tell us how she ended up with that lightsaber.
Well, and I'm sure she's got other things down there that are equally interesting.
That's what I'm wondering. If that was down there, what else is down there?
And how, it's not just that she had the lightsaber. She had the lightsaber and the box it originally came in that Obi-Wan stored it in. How did that happen? I can see some wayward, Tabana gas miner finding it or getting their cloud car hit by the lightsaber as it's falling down. But how did she also reunite it with the original box?
I think in the previous continuity, it got stuck in a duct, and a cleaning droid found it.
Well, it's not what was it? Not like Luke was carrying the box in Empire.
Well, and plus it's a box. I mean,
Well,
I'm
the
sure
box
somebody
was
made
back in
similar boxes.
the box was like back in Obi-Wan's hut.
Which Boba Fett like wrecked.
Yeah, exactly. He wrecked the hell out of that place. So I guess
What?
I don't know. Like,
Wait, did he? Do we know
yes,
that for sure?
Oh yeah.
yes, we know that for
We
sure
saw it happen.
because the comics.
In the comics.
Yeah, so the new series of comics that came out last summer are canon, and they basically each comic takes a perspective of one of the classic trilogy characters. And there's the main Star Wars series is mostly about Luke, and there's a Leia series and a Vader series, and a Lando series.
The main one and the Vader series are both ongoings, and then
Right.
Leia and Lando are both miniseries.
But they weave in
If
and
you want
out.
those two.
They weave in and out of the main series.
Yeah.
So you're seeing like bits and pieces from different points of view of the same events that are happening. So they're like writing the events that happen after the first movie or after Episode 4.
Yes. Yeah. We're currently just a little bit after the end of Episode 4. Yeah.
And Luke goes back to Obi-Wan's shack to look to see if there's any more clues about, his future. And Boba Fett follows him there, and he just straight wrecks the place.
Yeah, Boba Fett has been hired by the Empire to track down the rebel pilot that destroyed the Death Star. And yeah.
But there's a scene where you can see the box in the background of Ben's, shack.
Mm-hmm.
So how it got there, how it survived Boba Fett wrecking the place, and then how it also got into the hands of Maz is beyond me.
I think Luke gave it to her when he's going to drop Rey off on the planet.
Yeah,
That's very likely.
but Luke doesn't really get away from there with anything. He runs for it.
So let's go down this road, because I know that this is something that everyone has been talking about, but I mean, is everyone in the camp that, Rey is Luke's daughter?
I don't know.
If that is the case, I'm super disappointed, because that's stupidly obvious. And if it's not a red herring, I'm disappointed. I'm heavily disappointed.
I think it's the most likely, thing, but I hope it's something a little more complicated and interesting.
Yeah, that was my thought, was that she was, and then just earlier today I was thinking about it, I was like, yeah, it's just super obvious that that's what it would be. And I know people have been saying she's Obi-Wan's granddaughter.
I don't think she's Obi-Wan's.
I don't think she's Obi-Wan's, but I kind of wish that she would be. Like, if she's going to be tied into anyone that we already know and not just something new, then I would prefer that to most of the other alternatives.
I really want her to be Palpatine's daughter or granddaughter or whatever.
I hope it's just something that nobody expects.
I kind of want to just be some random person.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Like, if she has to be someone that we know, then I hope it's related to Obi-Wan, but I'm mostly hoping that she's something new.
Well, the thing I was thinking of is that Luke is still the one that dropped her off on the planet, like she was one of his students and she got away somehow.
But if that was
I
true,
think is
she
very
would
likely.
she would know who
Right.
Kylo Ren is. Like, she would recognize him. They're not that different.
Not necessarily.
Well, and she wouldn't think it's all a legend.
Oh, also in
Yeah.
terms of age, Kylo Ren is over 10 years older than Rey.
Yes. Yeah, Kylo Ren is meant to be like just under 30. I mean, the actor is in his 30s, and Rey is like 18 to 20.
Well, she could have been really small and have repressed memories, or just forgot it.
That's what I'm thinking too.
I mean, a lot of people think that like Luke, messed with her mind before dropping her off.
Okay, so basically my theory is one of two things have to happen. Either Rey has to somehow tie into the Skywalker lineage, or Kylo Ren is going to end up redeemed by the end of the movies. Because Disney came out and said that the difference between the saga and the whatever they're calling the non-related movies is that the saga is about the Skywalker lineage.
Yeah.
And so
I'm super excited that we're going to have non-Star Wars movies.
yes, that's awesome.
Yes. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Rogue One a lot.
Like if I can get a Star Wars film every year, I will be really happy. Like,
well,
I don't
this is
care.
what's so dangerous. Like, this is why it's so frightening that I loved this movie so much, because now all of a sudden there's all this additional Star Wars stuff coming my way, and I'm excited about it, and it makes me slightly afraid. I don't want my heart broken again.
I just don't want them to do like an Assassin's Creed, like oversaturate it. Like, I'm totally cool having more movies. I just like, I don't know, one a year might be a bit too much.
But it's a really
look at
big
the
and
Marvel
interesting
movies.
universe.
Yeah, there's so many parts of the universe that have only been hinted at that they can explore.
Well, I'm not saying I wouldn't go see them. I'd be the first person in line, but I'm just being devil's advocate.
I mean, I think of it like the Marvel movies that have been coming out lately, where there's tons of them, and they're all sort of intertwined, but they're not all necessarily, the same theme or the same heroes. And I
Yeah.
guess that's what we'll be getting with Star Wars. I'm
Yeah.
okay with that.
That's what I'm expecting, is lots of different types of movies that all are, but they're all Star Wars movies. Just like, Iron Man is a superhero movie. The second Captain America movie was a political thriller. Ant-Man was a heist movie, but they're all Marvel movies. They can do the same thing with Star Wars movies.
I'm totally fine with it as long as they're good.
Well,
That's kind of how I feel.
As long as there's no mention of the word midichlorians in it, I am totally on board.
I guess that's the thing that makes me happy about Disney pulling the strings. It's like, Disney is a company that exists to sell other properties. Disney protects its properties really, really hard. And I think that they really just care about the bottom line there, and they're going to do whatever it takes to keep people interested in bringing them into the theaters and buying lots of toys.
Well,
I
they
mean,
made a good first step, certainly.
Yeah, my big concern is something that sort of happened a bit with the Marvel stuff, and that is that Disney really loves to protect its princesses, and if that means that there's a lack of merchandise for Rey, it makes me very, very unhappy. And there's already, there's obviously already been some issues with that. So I'm hoping that those things get corrected, especially now that, the movie is out, the movie is done amazingly well, and the response has been really positive. I'm hoping that going forward, that gets resolved.
So, okay, on this point, I was really pissed at Disney at first about this. But I think my angst needs to go in a completely different direction. I don't think it's Disney at all. Because, like, when you go to the Disney store, every multi-character set has Rey in it. Like, if you go to the Disney store and buy Disney merchandise from the Disney store, every single character has Rey in it. It's the Hasbro stuff. And Hasbro, is Monopoly as well as the figures. And they've been doing this with every single movie. Like the Avengers 2 stuff
Black Widow. Yeah.
didn't have Black Widow. The Guardians of the Galaxy didn't have Gamora. There was another high-profile one too, in addition to Force Awakens. And
Disney, in the end, controls this IP now, and they really need to make this change happen, because
they need to.
Oh,
that
absolutely.
needs to be out there.
I mean, I think it sounds like maybe Hasbro has gotten the message this time, because the outcry has been so massive this time around. Because I think, particularly because this time around, it's the main character. She is the main character of the movie, and people can't find toys of her.
I was at Best Buy like a couple weeks ago, and I had a choice. I was looking at they had the Star Wars Pop vinyl figures, and they had Boba Fett and a Stormtrooper and whatever, but they had one Rey left, and I'm like, all right, I'm taking the Rey one.
Yeah,
I found Rey more interesting than any of the other ones.
Yeah, and I think in particular this time it's even worse, because it's not that there's no Rey, but that there's less Rey, because like she's the short-packed character in cases, it seems like.
Exactly.
And all the scalpers are grabbing up all the Rey toys, because if you go on Amazon and look for them, any of the other ones you can get for like normal price. Like the Rey stuff is like $50 a pop.
The most adorable thing ever, though, was that thread somewhere, may have been Tumblr, may have been Reddit, of people that have been converting their other, like, little girls. I mean, because they're not really high quality done, but little girls converting like Barbies and Bratz dolls into Rays.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was adorable.
She was absolutely my favorite character in that entire movie. I don't know. I think they did a really good job with her. So
Yeah.
And and the thing is it is absolutely Disney's problem to deal with. Like they have to deal with it. I was just saying, like, I feel like Hasbro has something screwed up because this is not the first time they've done it.
Well, and it's incredibly, like, it's weirdly frustrating for me to see it because, I mean, when I was a little girl, I had Princess Leia action figures. I had Princess Leia in every possible outfit from every single one of the movies action figures. Like, if they were hard to come by, my family managed to find them, you know, like, it was not an issue. So it's just, it's weird to see this be a problem now.
Yeah.
I think the best Princess Leia figure ever was the one on Hoth.
Yes.
You're wrong. The best
Really?
Princess Leia figure, my favorite always is when she's a bounty hunter. Like that's
Oh.
her most badass.
See,
Yeah.
I don't even
Yeah,
like
Bosch
think
outfit.
of Bosk as necessarily a Princess Leia figure. I just think of it as not Bosk. God, what is the character's name?
I can never remember it, but it was
Bosch.
like
Bosch.
Bosch.
Oh,
this is my favorite action figure when I was a little girl. Like, I mean, I had all the
It had
Star
the
Wars
little
action
helmet?
figures. Yeah, you
Yeah,
could take
it was
off,
so
and there's
awesome.
Princess Leia underneath. It was amazing.
it was super awesome.
I
Yeah.
do not have any of the toys from the original movies. I wish I did.
Okay, so I'll amend what I said, and yeah, Bounty Hunter Princess Leia was amazing. So was Bounty Hunter Lando.
Yeah.
Those two were both awesome. I can't, like, I vaguely remember that Indoor Leia had a removable helmet, didn't it?
Yeah, yes.
And
And
it-
a cape thing too, like the Hoth
The
one
poncho.
had that too.
And I remember
that
being
camo
so
poncho.
so frustrated that Luke in Indoor had like a plastic molded on helmet that you could never remove.
Yeah.
Because like the Indoor stuff would have been a cool outfit if you could have removed the stupid hats.
Did they have one of Luke with a detachable hand?
No, this is
Oh.
like
They didn't do detachable hands. This was like the beginnings of the 3.5-inch action figure.
It was impressive actually that they had the little telescoping lightsabers, which I
Yes.
always ended up breaking, but
Losing
they were
or
still really
breaking.
cool.
I would put toothpicks down the armhole for the lightsaber slot, and I would color them lightsaber colors.
There was a Luke figure with the one black glove, but no detachable hand.
The figure that like I remember playing with the most was the C-3PO that had the break apart
That
arms.
came apart.
Yeah.
I had that one.
I never had
'Cause-
that one, but I always wanted it.
I'd
Right,
always
that's my
jam him in the
RPG.
backpack and make Chewie carry him.
And this is where my youngness comes in.
I know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's probably why I didn't have any of the toys since I was like 3.
Yeah.
So
About that.
Yeah.
I know I said this like on a previous episode, but I'm gonna bring it up again. The 3.5-inch figures this time around, or 4 inches they're calling them. The paint jobs are just not good.
Yeah. The black
They're-
figures are where it's at.
But they're, you know, what, 12, 13, 14 bucks a piece for the
Mhm.
4-inch figures,
Yeah.
and even then they're
There's-
not that much better painted.
Well, I mean, the thing about toys these days is that there are toys for children and there are toys for collectors. And toys for children are made on the cheap, and toys for collectors are stupid expensive.
I'm just picturing all the artifacts, Star Wars statues I have in my living room because those things are awesome.
Pretty sure I'm going to restrict myself to Infinity figures for Star Wars merchandise this time around.
That's really
It's not
where
a bad
I'm
plan.
I'm
They're
focusing
also
at.
pretty nice, honestly.
I've actually I've been buying the hell out of Infinity figures, but it's the Marvel ones because like all of the places are closing those out now really cheap.
Oh, the 2.0?
Yep.
Yeah, because I was at a small town Walmart actually Friday night, and I picked up Ronan and God, I can't think of the guy's name. Dude with the arrow.
Yondu.
Yondu, yes. I think those were like the last two I was missing out of the Marvel heroes. Because they were kind of rare out in the store.
Yeah, I didn't know they made an Infinity figure for Yondu. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's kind of awkward looking too, but whatever. The fact that it exists is cool.
I mean, I haven't actually bought much in the way of Star Wars merchandise yet this time around. I mean, some of it is due to my financial situation, but man, I really want one of those remote control BB-8s.
The only one,
Yeah.
the only merchandise I've bought is that Rey pop vinyl figure. I got a bunch of stuff for Christmas though, like Star Wars cereal.
I did get a pair of BB-8, no, 2 pairs of BB-8 socks for Christmas presents.
My wife has BB-8 socks. Actually, she also has R2 socks.
I will have to say they really did their number on merchandising for this, because I saw a picture of a bag of oranges that had like BB-8 on the packaging.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a little annoying. I mean, I am so happy that, you know, there is Star Wars merchandise aplenty right now, but like it's all stuff I don't care about, and the stuff I would actually care about is so picked over. Like you go down to the toy aisle, and I'm convinced that unfortunately Finn right now is the peg warmer of this series.
Yeah, I kind of think so.
Because everyone has plenty of Finn and not much else. Finn and random alien number 1 that I can't think of the name of. But there's like no Poes, no Rays. And part of that I blame that probably they just haven't received a shipment post-Christmas. Because like the Star Wars aisle in most of the stores around me is just barren.
Yeah,
there's nothing there.
They got their shipment, you know, immediately before the movie's coming out, and haven't gotten anything since then.
And the funny thing is like, when these movies first came out, I had so much to say about them. But now that we're actually recording this podcast, and I've said all of it in our chat channel, I'm like, I've already said these things
I think
to these people.
If we had like recorded it like the weekend it came out, I would probably had a lot more to say. But I'm kind of glad that we didn't, because I've calmed down a lot since I saw it the first time.
Well, so did you have a negative impression the first time?
The first time I came out of it, I didn't not like the movie. I just was not enthusiastic the first time I came out of it. But like I said earlier, I was overanalyzing the crap out of it, so I enjoyed it. When I came out of it the second time, I was a lot happier.
I was like a 6-year-old kid again, just enthralled with the fact that Star Wars was on the screen. Like, I was so happy. And I was happy that the opening night crowd was super emotive, and there was cheering and you know, boos and you know, reactions when things happened. And
I had an absolutely amazing experience going to see the movie, because I never saw the original movies in the theater except for when they were re-released, and I can't remember if I saw all of the prequels in the theater, but so like I got to the theater, and you know, I got the one seat that was left to reserve by itself, and you know, this guy comes with his kid, sits next to me, and we just have a talk before the movie starts about how we're really wanting to see this movie, and the theater was quiet. Everybody, you know, nobody talked all that much. But I had a really great experience, and it's like I didn't come out of it like just super upset. I don't know. I was a little overly critical the first time I saw it.
I mean, I turned around and went back to watch it again the next day, and was super excited and happy to do this.
I could not sleep that first night. Like, I was just so pumped from Star Wars! It's like, I was really annoying, I'm sure, when I came home, because, like, my wife was trying to get ready for bed, and I was just pumped and wanted to talk about Star Wars, but couldn't talk about Star Wars, because she hadn't seen it yet.
I've had to be really
careful. You did that.
So, my wife was not, like, really a big fan of Star Wars. She's, like, always tolerated my like of Star Wars, and she supports me, and she'll find random items out while she's running around, and we'll pick them up. Like, she picked up this cool deck of cards that had Kylo Ren on them the other day. But, you know, and she totally supports me buying all manner of silly, you know, Star Wars Legos. But she's just not a fan. Like, but probably the best Christmas gift she could have given me, and she's like, you're reading too much into this, but no, seriously, it was awesome. Like, Christmas Day, we hung out at home, and she had the friend over that's coming to PAX South with us, and we watched 4, 5, 6, and then went to 7 that evening, and, you know, she was kind of excited about it, and her friend was excited. And just the fact that she, even though I know, like, Star Wars isn't her thing, that she took this amount of time to do this Christmas Day so we could have a chill day of just, watching Star Wars. That meant just the world to me.
That is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I ended up, so the first time I saw it by myself. The second time I saw it, I ended up running to my sister and my brother-in-law at the theater that morning, and so I ended up seeing it with my sister the second time.
I'm lucky that I have a spouse who loves Star Wars at least as much as I do, and so it was really fun to be able to go together. And it was fun because on opening night we were in line next to another couple who were both also super excited to be there, and we could kind of hang out and make friends and nerd out about Star Wars with these people, and it was really great.
Well, ultimately, I was originally going to go with my wife, and then she wasn't super excited about it, so she didn't really care that much. So I ended up taking my boss because he was going to go on vacation, and he wasn't going to get to see it until, last week when he went with some other family. And he is a big Star Wars fan, so I figured I would share the love.
I mean, it was killing me that, my mom is a giant nerd. She is probably the reason why I'm a giant nerd, and she didn't go to see it until, the Tuesday, maybe? Almost a week after it had been out. And it was absolutely I was ready to drive to her house and be like, Mom, we're going to see this movie because I want to talk to you about it.
Yeah, I was the same way with my folks, because, really, my mom and dad were the reason why I got into Star Wars in the first place, and I can remember standing in line for opening day of, Empire and, Return of the Jedi, and I was so sick when Empire came out. I was so unbelievably sick. And they're like, we don't have to go if you don't want to. I'm like, no, I want to go see Star Wars. And I don't remember anything from that.
I think the only one I ever saw on opening night was Phantom Menace, and I think, Thalen, I think you were there because it was all of our group here.
Yeah.
And the line was wrapped around the building.
Oh yeah, because we didn't know yet. Didn't know.
Well, I don't think there was really online ordering of tickets at that time, so.
No, there wasn't.
And like I said, I never saw the original trilogy in the theater, but when A New Hope came out as special edition, me and my dad I saw it with my dad, we were the first ones in line at a theater that's no longer around, but we were the first ones in line to see that.
When we actually saw the re-releases in the theaters, that was the first time my wife had ever seen them.
I had seen them on I grew up watching them on VHS tapes.
Yeah, same here. And then, every year around Christmas time, USA would show all 3 Star Wars movies.
I really want to buy them on Blu-ray, but I can't do it until I can get a version that they haven't put Hayden Christensen in it.
They're coming.
There's this thing.
Disney is releasing them.
Entirely legal, so,
Okay, I'm trying to not do that.
Well, no,
there's the
despecialized
edition.
Yeah, that may be the version I have in addition to the Blu-ray copies, but
I feel like one scene with Hayden Christensen in it does not.
It doesn't ruin everything.
I still have my old VHS copies.
I
so
do
I'm
too.
Safe.
The sad thing is I have lots of copies of Star Wars. There was a Christmas sometime, God, probably 88, 89-ish or so, that I decided that all I wanted for Christmas was Star Wars VHS tapes. And I ended up getting them. They're this CBS Fox edition of Star Wars VHS. So I've got that one, and then I've got the black box of the THX release.
Yeah.
And then I've got the gold box somewhere as well from the special editions. And then I have the Blu-rays. So I have too many copies of Star Wars.
Yeah, I have enough copies of Star Wars in enough formats that I do not feel bad about downloading the despecialized edition.
I know it's just one scene out of the movie, but I don't like Hayden Christensen.
I am not bothered by that one scene.
Yeah, that's not the
No,
scene
me
that
either.
bothers me. There are other things that, I like to not have there, but that doesn't
For
bother
me, it is also one scene, but it's a different one scene.
I heard they
And it's in the first
replaced.
movie.
I heard they replaced the voice of Boba Fett with the guy who did the one from the prequels.
With Jango Fett's voice?
Yeah, I heard this the other day. I read this somewhere the other day that they replaced the voice of Boba Fett with the guy who did Jango Fett.
He
Boba
has
Fett
like 4 lines. How would you notice?
Yeah, seriously, like.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice this personally. I just something I read. I haven't seen the special I haven't seen the updated versions in such a long time.
I have, and I don't remember that.
No, I don't either.
The thing that always bothered me about the special editions was it was this opportunity to fix all these, graphical errors and all these things, and he did all this stuff, fixed all these things, and he didn't fix the lightsabers during the battle between Vader and Kenobi in the first movie. And that bugs the hell out of me.
Okay, no. The one that bugs me that he left in is the fact that the snow speeders on Hoth are still transparent. Like it's not as
things they were supposed to have fixed.
It's not as bad as it used to be, but like they're still slightly transparent. You can still kind of see rocks through them.
Yeah. But that's the thing that's always bugged me is that those couple of shots in that battle where you can see that Obi-Wan's lightsaber is a stick with reflective tape on it, and he didn't fix that.
I will say
I don't even remember that.
It's when it it's there.
I'm gonna have to rewatch it now.
Yeah, it's always bugged the heck out of me.
It's
too.
really noticeable once you notice it.
Yeah, once you see it, you can never unsee it.
Yeah.
I'll say the only other thing preventing me from buying the Blu-rays is the price. It's like $90 for 3 movies.
They're a bit pricey.
Yes. I don't know. I bought the one with all 6 in it, and it was about $90 for all 6.
Maybe I was looking at the wrong price tag, but
maybe you were thinking about it as being for 3 movies, but it was actually for 6. You just don't want 3 of them.
Well, that's the thing. As much as I don't like the prequels, I have to resign myself to the fact that to get the whole story, you have to watch them.
Well,
and they're not entirely bad. Each of those movies has its moments.
So when we were doing the Christmas Day thing, after watching 7, my wife had all these questions, and she wanted to watch the prequels. And I warned her, I tried to set her expectations as low as humanly possible. Because I thought, going into those movies with low expectations, maybe they would be better. And I'm really proud of her as a human being. She hated Phantom Menace. She thought Attack of the Clones was okay. She didn't think it was a bad movie at all. Revenge of the Sith, she liked it overall, but thought it was about an hour too long.
See, Attack of the Clones, I don't know, this is the one that bothers me the most. Yeah, it has some redeeming parts that I like, but it has the absolute worst stuff for me. Yes, pod racing is terrible, annoying special child is terrible, Jar Jar Binks is terrible, but oh my gosh, the ridiculousness and the painfulness of what is supposed to be this romantic setup for these star-crossed lovers in that second movie just it almost makes me physically ill. It is so bad.
The second movie is the worst for me, and
that
is why.
For her, it was the storyline of the second movie. There was actually something going on. There was this mystery that's supposed to be happening, and that felt more realistic than the last movie for her. Where the last movie felt kind of circling around a point that you knew you were going to happen anyway, and they were just delaying the fact.
My biggest problem with Attack of the Clones was them making Boba Fett a clone. That bothered
he was
me
always a clone
on so many levels.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they never specified in the books his entire backstory, not that I'm aware of, but just that he was
actually
a clone.
They did.
Yeah.
He was adopted by this guy, and they later reconciled the two, but yeah, he had an existing history that overrode.
Okay, I figured there might have been something, I just hadn't read it.
Yeah, there was. There always is.
But yeah,
every character got a backstory. The dude with the ice cream maker got a backstory. Of course, Boba Fett got a backstory.
So overall in the prequels, I don't remember who mentioned, all 3 had redeeming. There was one scene in each movie that wasn't bad. Duel of the Fates was the best part of the first one, and Anakin getting his butt kicked.
It was pretty cool.
And so here's the other thing about the prequels. I noticed this because I saw some people talking about this on Twitter, and after going to see Force Awakens, of course, I went out and I got a copy of the soundtrack actually, actually I guess it was a Christmas present, but I sat and listened all the way through it, and then I sat and actually listened to the soundtracks of all 7 movies. And the prequels had some really kick-ass music.
They did.
They did.
Like, I think
Soundtracks
arguably
were great.
better than the soundtrack to The Force Awakens. So, that to me, like, that's the most redeeming quality of those movies.
I will say that when Force Awakens comes out on Blu-ray, I will buy The Force Awakens, and I will buy the box with all 6 prequels, or all six previous movies, and I will sit and I will watch all 7 back to back.
Yeah, I've already had this discussion about, are we gonna buy the Blu-ray when it comes out? Are we gonna wait for the box set when they're all out? It's like, no, I'm gonna buy the Blu-ray as soon as it's available.
Yeah, the second.
I'm still torn about that.
It kind of annoys the shit out of me, though, that they already have Blu-ray pre-orders out.
Well,
Yeah, I
it's
saw
not,
that.
it's not like it's not going to exist.
Well, I know, but the day the movie came out, you could go on to PSN and pre-order it and get some bonus video to watch.
I was
It's
ready
just-
to buy more Star Wars stuff as soon as I walked out of that movie.
It's true.
Yes.
I've had to fight doing
Yeah,
that.
fine.
Mostly because I don't want to own it on PSN, but anyway.
So regarding the prequels, a friend of mine who is a regular listener has a really great theory regarding the prequels that I won't say that it makes the prequels good, but it makes them a little better for me. So all of the stuff that happens in the prequels, all of the stuff, this is not how it really happened. This is how Anakin tells himself it all happened. So like the pod race, it's this really awesome, amazing pod race. No, that was like 7 rednecks and beaters. all of the incredibly awkward conversation between him and Padme in the second movie, that's all like Anakin thinking back on it, and that's how it should have been, and that's how it all happened, and it was all amazingly romantic, and so on and so forth. And I just really, really like that.
I guess that would explain why, like, Padme would respond positively to, his advances.
Exactly.
This makes a lot of sense if you think about the Robot Chicken Star Wars episode where he's imagining himself in a field of flowers when he's killing the children.
That actually does reconcile a lot of my problems with the prequels. I'm down with this. This is the new interpretation for me.
I think from now on, this is how I'm going to watch those movies and enjoy them.
Yeah, this might be a new headcanon. I mean, I've seen some people say that they reconcile it by saying, well, actually, this is Obi-Wan's story and not Anakin's, but I have a hard time with that because it's pretty obvious it's supposed to be Anakin's story, but I think I can get on board with this.
Isn't really, but
it's the story of How I Met Your Mother.
And when Anakin saves the day by blowing up the big orb thing to shut down the entire robot army, no, he was just waiting back in the ship. Somebody else did that.
He was watching on a screen and wrote some self-insert fanfiction.
Yeah, it's imagining how awesome it would have been
if he would have won the day.
I will say of the prequels, the last one is my favorite one.
Yeah,
of course.
The third one is the best of the 3.
Yeah, the whole the last 20 minutes, that whole fight scene up to him becoming Darth Vader and screaming no at the screen was really good. I will say, whenever I watch that again, I will stop the movie before that happens.
I just don't know.
When it came out, I was 11. I was still at the right age to think Jar Jar was funny.
Yeah, you were the right age for it.
Yeah, so
Most
sorry.
of us until Attack of the Clones that I realized, hey, wait a sec.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That made me feel really old.
I mean,
I'm not actually sorry.
I think I may have said this before, but I don't really have, I'm very sympathetic because I was the right age to see Return of the Jedi when I was, pretty small. And so, I liked Ewoks, man. I had all the Ewok action figures and the Ewok playset, and so, everyone hates them, but I still have sad, nostalgic fondness for Ewoks. So,
yeah,
I sympathize.
I was, 8 when Return came out? So yeah, Ewoks were fine.
Yeah. I loved the baby Ewoks.
Ruined it.
Oh, God.
I had no problems with the Ewoks. This is probably because, when I did see the movies originally, I was still a small child when I saw them on VHS tapes, but I don't know. I don't really dislike the Ewoks at all.
It would have been interesting, though, had they been Wookiees. Because I had always heard that was the intention.
Yeah, originally it was going to be Kashyyyk. Or, well, I don't think it had been named Kashyyyk at that point, but it was going to be the Wookiee home planet. But,
well, I mean, if we're going with headcanon here, you could just make them Wookiee children.
Look, Return of the Jedi on Endor is all about, Chewie piloting a chicken walker.
It wasn't actually a separate tribe. That was a Wookiee preschool. I love it.
I mean, because there is story time.
Run to gush. Choo, choo, choo. That's the best part of Return of the Jedi for me, though, is listening to C-3PO tell the tale with sound effects.
I will say on the new movie, I was glad that they got pretty much every cast member back.
And supposedly every single main character will be back in the next movie, including Han Solo.
What about
I'm thinking flashback.
Flashbacks?
That's my guess.
Yeah.
I mean, a blue Force Ghost Han Solo would be amazing, but it doesn't make any sense at all.
Okay, so here's the thing. Like,
Force Ghost to be only mildly Force-sensitive Han Solo?
Well, like, I've always thought Han Solo is Force-sensitive. Like, some of the stupid shit he does and ends up on top he's got unnatural luck on his side.
I also
he's a scoundrel. Better lucky than good.
But yeah, having him come back, especially, since the Lucas thing made it so that that's some special power.
Yeah, I figure Kylo Ren is going to, be hearing some voices or something. Just, like, remembering the past.
I almost wonder, so the way he talks to Vader's head, it makes me wonder if he's been visited by a twisted Force Ghost version of Vader.
I feel like Vader would be just yelling at him.
Yeah, what are you doing, kid? Cut it out. I don't
no, what are you doing?
That would be a good idea.
I just pictured the guy from Full House doing the cut it out hand gestures when you said that.
Well, okay, but he says some line like, show me again, what you want me to do. Like, somehow he's either had a vision.
Being manipulated.
He's definitely being manipulated.
But I doubt that it's actually Vader that's the one that's doing it.
Maybe Palpatine somehow.
Well, then there's the whole Snoke thing.
Or Plagueis. Yeah. I mean, Snoke is supposedly a brand new character. He's supposedly not Plagueis, not Jar Jar, none of that.
I don't know, man.
J.J. Abrams, has lied to us before, so...
Snoke is the island.
Part of me hopes it's Plagueis, but I don't know.
I really hope it's not, honestly.
Yeah, I really want them to expand the setting, not make it smaller.
Yeah, I much prefer the idea of Snoke being some dark Force user that was just, biding his time while all the Empire shit went down and, saw his opportunity and made his move.
I've also seen someone suggest that he's the Inquisitor from the first season of Rebels, but I don't think that holds up either.
Have they stated that he has Force powers? Because, he could just be a guy, on
he
Endor
definitely
or
looks
something.
like he's got some lightsaber buttons on him.
At the end of the movie, he tells Hux to get, Kylo Ren so he can complete his training.
Yeah.
That would tell me he is, if not Sith, he's something.
I mean,
True.
Kylo Ren should be able to tell. So if Snoke isn't Force sensitive, then Kylo's even dumber than I thought.
Oh, but didn't Snoke at one point mention about being a ripple in the Force? So he's at the very least Force sensitive.
Yeah.
My theory is that he probably was Sith at some time, and then realized that the rule of two was total bullshit and a horrible idea.
So he started the Knights of Ren?
I think the Knights of Ren are totally his answer to the Sith.
Yeah. I really
think so too.
I think he's something else, just, the expanded universe was chock full of Force users that were neither Sith nor Jedi. So,
Well, Maz Kanata.
Yeah. Presumably she's Force sensitive. That doesn't actually mean she's a Force user.
She can see the Force.
That's true.
With her big eyes.
The expanded universe had an entire planet full of them. Dathomir. So
I kind of feel like there was one character nobody has actually brought up, and that was Captain Phasma.
There's not much to bring up, unfortunately.
No, I love her, and I want more of her. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was my point. Is I wish there was more of her in the movie.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's been confirmed that she's going to play a major role in the next one.
Yeah. Well, and Phasma wasn't going to be an important character really until they cast Gwendolyn Christie and started like playing that up. So
Well, here's the thing: is she's got more lines than Boba Fett had.
this is true.
So she's already cooler than Boba Fett.
Yep.
I just like the fact that Hux was Charlie Weasley.
Wasn't he Bill?
He was one of the Weasleys.
He's Bill. Yeah.
Bill.
Yeah.
Have you seen the cartoon where he receives a screamer from Mrs. Weasley?
Yeah, I
Yes.
have. I think somebody posted it on Twitter.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
I also love how there's that emo Kylo Ren Twitter account.
That Twitter account is
My-
delightful.
Have you
It
been
is
watching it the
amazing.
last couple days though?
Yeah, there's been an exchange
Between Lonely Jedi Luke and and
that
emo
is
Kylo Ren.
amazing. It made me absolutely laugh out loud many times.
And General Leia and Han Solo's ghost, and it's gotten silly.
So the character I want to know more about is the whatever Crimson Cavalier or whatever guy that Finn almost walks off with.
The traitor
There at
guy.
Maz's place.
Yeah, like he's got his entire book devoted to him. It's Crimson something. I think it's Crimson Cavalier.
Oh, of course he does.
Yeah, but apparently there's a book devoted to that character, and it's kind of cool looking. It'll make interesting toys. Like I feel like there's a lot of stuff in here that was put in there just to make interesting toys.
Well, yeah. I mostly hope Leia has a larger part in the next movie, because her part really wasn't that big.
Yeah, it
I
was a little bit disappointing, but I mean, I'm glad at least that she was still in it, and I'm glad,
Yeah.
it was interesting seeing the relationship between Han and Leia, and that they sort of let it, I don't know, they didn't really fully reconcile before the end, and I mean, they did to a point, but it wasn't like, oh, and then they got back together forever, and then he died.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know, I thought that was reasonably well done.
Yeah.
And the explanation totally makes sense. I mean, they're both super independent people, and when things went wrong, they kind of went back to the thing they were really good at. The only thing that I thought was weird though was I don't understand why she was at Maz's place. Like that didn't really make sense
They
to me
got
because like,
called-
Yeah.
well, no,
Yeah.
Because she's leading the resistance, and the resistance got called in because BB-8 was there.
I guess what I mean is like I guess in my head I totally picture her in the role that Mon Mothma always was, and it just seemed weird that she'd be part of a strike force. But
Doesn't seem the type to, just stay at the
no, I guess that's true.
Yeah,
Well,
she's always been kind of, in the thick of things.
But at this point, she has to be the brains of the resistance.
Well, I mean, if they were also mentioned on that Han Solo was there, maybe she came for him.
I don't know. Like I was happy she was there. It was the only thing that seemed.
But it also seemed like she was really just part of the cleanup crew. Like she wasn't really in the thick
Mhm.
of it.
Yeah, I kind of got the feeling that they basically, everybody came. Like,
Yeah.
The fighters came first, but everybody came.
Well, and since Rey was reported to be there, maybe she was essentially there to be the diplomat role and talk to Rey and talk Rey into joining the resistance, as it were. Or maybe just simply the draw of the final piece of the map and maybe finding out where her brother's at.
I'll say one of my favorite things to come out of this was the Bushes of Love video.
From bad lip reading.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess overall I'm just thoroughly happy with every aspect of the movie.
I'm currently looking to see if I can find a reserve seat for tomorrow morning for the 3D showing. Because I'm looking at the 10 o'clock and it's only got 10 seats filled. But they're all the good seats.
I guess for me, everything about this movie felt like they were bringing in the old characters to, go for another mission, and they set up the new characters and showed us just how awesome they are. And I love the bromance currently between Finn and Poe.
That's not a bromance. That's a romance.
Yep.
Well, the thing is we don't know yet, but I support it either way. If it ends up being a romance, awesome.
I mean, I think the way that I look at it. I mean, I totally ship that, but I feel like at best we're gonna get a love triangle, and if we got a love triangle, I would be happy with that.
Yep, me too.
Ooh, there's a 10 o'clock IMAX showing. I might try to see that.
but I love the dynamic between Finn and Poe. Like, the scenes where they're working together are just awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of thought the whole TIE fighter scene was a little bit annoying.
Really?
What?
Are you
enjoyed
dead
it.
inside?
I think you're dead inside, Dal.
Yeah.
You're basically proving you're dead inside.
Well, I
know
could
about
buy
that.
I'm not going to argue with that statement.
Okay.
Well, if you think about it, if you look at these three new characters, like they probably best map, like Poe probably best maps to Han Solo, Rey best maps to Luke Skywalker, and Finn best maps to Leia. So if you look at how the romances shake out there, Poe and Finn.
I think
Yeah.
it was while they're in the TIE fighter, it's kind of like a buddy cop movie
Yeah.
with the level of excitement, and I don't know. He just seemed really overly enthused about shooting down one of his friends.
Well, they're not
Well, no, that
necessarily
was one of
all
his
his
friends.
friends.
Yeah, he was ground forces. That was a TIE pilot. It's completely different. Those guys are dicks.
Well, they could have had lunch together sometime.
What? No.
Well, no, they pretty much kept the little pods of 4 people isolated from other people until they were ready to go into battle.
Also, if it's anything like the real world, they may or may not have liked each other anyway.
Yeah.
They were in different cliques.
A little bit.
I mean, for me, the only thing in the movie that, like, while watching the movie, I was a little, this doesn't quite work, were the weird CGI tentacle monsters.
The Cthulhu Sarlacc?
Yeah, that was the only thing in the entire movie that, like, just didn't quite work for me. Like,
I wanted those things to be the thing in the trash compactor from A New Hope.
Dianogas.
Yeah. At first I thought that might be what they were until they said another name.
I couldn't honestly remember the name of what the one from the original movie was, so to know that they were different.
So the thing that cracked me up about that sequence is the fact that they actually brought in essentially Laserdisc Jabba, except for a young version, since Jabba was originally an Irish gangster.
Oh, yeah.
The only disappointment really is, like, I would have liked to have seen what Lando was up to.
He's looking for his son Finn.
I'm still holding out hope that we'll see him in, one of the later movies.
I don't know, like, I would more buy that Finn was Han and Santa's kid than Lando's kid, but
I mean, I really don't want these movies to be like Star Wars, The Next Generation, everybody's kids. Like, that would be awful. Like,
I would be
obviously,
very disappointed.
some of the, legacy is being followed, and obviously the whole Skywalker legacy being followed is fine, but, like, if it turns out that everyone is related to somebody else, my eyes are gonna roll out of my head.
Then this is the smallest universe ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like Finn being Lando's kid would kind of, support the feeling that Lando is the only black man in the universe.
I'll say this because we're talking about it being the Skywalker legacy, that technically, since Leia is Luke's sister, and Kylo
Rey
would be a Skywalker.
Yeah, Rey is absolutely a Skywalker.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I meant.
But that's really
that's what
what's
I'm
pushing for the redemption arc.
That's why. Okay, so that's why I said earlier that either Rey is a Skywalker or Kylo Ren will be redeemed by the end of this.
I hope he's redeemed on the end of a lightsaber.
I want to see more of his villain.
Vader?
I feel like it's too early to be like, oh, I hate that guy. Like, he's. Darth Vader had an arc at, like, the very end, and we're seeing Kylo Ren's at the beginning.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting, because there's no way they can top Vader.
I certainly expect that he will become a good guy, but he'll die being the hero.
Yeah. I like Kylo Ren as he is. I like the fact that he is this polar opposite of the person he's trying to be.
Darth Tantrum.
Yeah, like Vader, if you completely ignore Darth Teen Angst from the prequels, Vader was this super composed bad guy.
Vader still threw tantrums. He just did it internally.
Yeah, like
death.
But
Kylo Ren takes
Still presented
his
a
anger
very
out.
calming, composed front and also murders someone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kylo Ren takes his anger out on inanimate objects.
My favorite tantrum of his was when he's throwing it when she escapes, and the two stormtroopers are walking down the hallway, and they just turn around and go, "Nope."
Dude, they're a hell of a lot smarter than the old stormtroopers. Just saying.
I like how the stormtroopers in this one could aim properly.
Yeah, their training has clearly been improved.
Yes.
But I think it's great that Kylo Ren, that he threw tantrums and that the people around him were obviously afraid of him, but he never did the Vader thing of just, murdering his underlings when he got annoyed. He threw tantrums and he destroyed, rooms, but he didn't just off people, which, it's a kind of a flag against, being the hardcore Sith badass.
Well, I think also he doesn't necessarily have the pull that Vader had in the first movies. He's not. I feel like Hux has equal standing in the eyes of Snoke as Ren does.
Well, if you think about it, in the first movie, Tarkin was Vader's superior.
Yeah.
So we're in a similar situation to that, it seems like.
I guess I feel like most of the fear that people have for Kylo Ren is the fact that he is obviously unstable, and not necessarily that he's so powerful.
Yeah, Vader had respect.
I'll say this, as much as I say whether or not I like a character, it's the fact that they acted it so well that I feel that way about the characters. It's like all the acting in the movie was, there was no bad acting in this movie at all. Everybody in the movie was great.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, one thing that I love about it is they know when to shut up and just let actors act without dialogue. And they keep on coming back to it. It was awesome.
There's another thing less related to acting, but the movie knows what an establishing shot is.
Yep.
The
Man,
didn't always get right.
That Rey establishing shot, that one's so awesome.
That was pretty great.
All right, I'm going to have to see this movie tomorrow.
Like the start of the third movie.
I will say all this talk is I really, really want to go see this movie again.
Were it not snowy out, I'd walk around to the theater tomorrow and go see it.
Dude, it was 60 degrees outside here today.
It's 60 there? You suck. It's 30-ish.
Well, it's not 60 now. It's well below freezing now, but it was much warmer this morning.
Yeah, it was snowing this morning. You're probably going to get the snow tomorrow.
No, we don't have snow in our forecast.
Really?
Not anytime soon.
Northern Arkansas has snow in the forecast. We're in Central.
Yeah. Well, you guys usually get my weather one day late.
Well, yeah, that's where North Arkansas is getting it, but I really hope we don't get snow.
I'm figuring we're going to get snow the weekend of PAX.
I hope not.
That's what I'm figuring.
I really hope not, because I don't want to go drive through that to get the PAX or come back through it.
But I most definitely want to see it at least one more time. I want to see it in 3D. How many of you have seen it in 3D?
I have
All 3 times.
Twice.
All 3 times?
My one was in 3D.
I saw it once without and twice with.
I have not, but I want to.
Yeah, I saw it all 3 times in 3D, and the last one was the D box with the motion seats.
Oh, cool. So is it a worthwhile 3D? Did they do a good job of it?
I feel like they did a pretty good job of it. Sometimes when the 3D is bad in a movie, it makes me sick, and this did not do that, so I call it a win. And there weren't any of the... I didn't see a lot of the distracting kind of stupid 3D shots that kind of pull me out of the moment, so that's also in its favor.
I found you definitely forgot you were watching it in 3D. The only time where it was really noticeable was when it was an establishing shot for a sense of scale. When you see some of the TIE fighters coming out one of the big ships, you really got that sense of, holy crap, this thing is massive.
I will say I don't normally see movies in 3D because they just do cheap gimmicks. But the only 3D movie that I've actually liked seeing in 3D was Tron Legacy, and I was hoping it was something like that where it's more of depth.
That's exactly what it is.
Well, I definitely think it's worth the $15 I'm going to be paying for a ticket.
So we've talked a lot about things, a lot of things that are not necessarily Star Wars related. Let's do kind of a round of final thoughts about the movie. Thalen, what are your final closing thoughts on the movie?
I'm happy about Star Wars again.
Yes.
For so long, my feelings about Star Wars have been divided at best, and when I was in high school, and then when I was in college, I was huge Star Wars fan. Like all of the West End Star Wars game books, so many Star Wars Legos, all of the Star Wars novels and short stories, so much Star Wars.
Yeah.
And the prequels kind of killed that. To the point where it even tainted like watching the original movies to a degree. And I'm excited about Star Wars again, and that is so awesome.
Right? Yes. That thing that he just said.
Okay. So is that your final thoughts, Tam, too?
So the other thing that I have, the other comment for me is Star Wars. The big problem that I have with the prequels is that they shrunk the world, and I think that it's awesome that they're not doing that. That like there's a whole lot more Star Wars for me to enjoy right now that wasn't there before.
Yeah.
Or that was there but not usefully. Like I don't know. Like it was there but not being used, and now it's being used again. I think that's awesome.
Neph?
Yeah, I think along the same lines. I really enjoyed it, and I'm so looking forward to seeing what they're going to do next. I love the characters. I want to know more about them. There isn't enough information out there.
I know, that's the hard part. Is like I'm so used to going to Wikipedia and looking things up, and there's not much there yet.
That reminds me, if you want to know the story of C-3PO's red arm, there's a comic book coming out pretty soon.
Okay, cool.
It will tell us where he got the red arm from.
And sadly, I will
about that red arm, but yeah, I'm kind of curious about that.
I will sadly read it 6 months late, probably, because that's when Marvel Unlimited will get it.
Apparently, it is a memento of a fallen droid friend.
Okay. I remember an all-red, whatever, C3 unit. Grace, your final thoughts?
So I'll definitely echo this movie made me want to open my heart and my wallet to Star Wars again. And also I have to say how amazing and important it was to sort of finally see a character that echoed myself as the hero of a Star Wars movie was pretty amazing. So that there's just no substitution or replacement for that sort of feeling. Like I can't even imagine if I had seen something like that when I was 8-10 years old and just infatuated with Star Wars. So I hope that it's a really good thing for lots of little kids right now.
Dal?
I agree with previous stated sentiments of I am in love with the series again. And I know I kind of said some negative things about the characters, but overall, I totally am I want to buy more toys. I want to go and see the movies 5 times. I'm like everybody else said, I'm just happy with the movie. I loved it. I want the series to continue.
Ash?
So once again, the marketing machine worked.
Yes, it did.
Also, I'm happy that I have questions and that they don't actually have answers yet.
Yeah. That was one of the harder things coming out of the movie is my wife expected me to know answers to things, and she was disappointed when I had to say, I don't know. We don't know yet.
Yep.
These are things that don't exist.
Yeah, we don't know what's happening next. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's a feeling that I've not had since watching them the first time. I have known intimate details about the characters that appeared in the background of shots for so long, and to some extent, having all of that wiped away when they ejected the expanded universe, that was a little troublesome because, are these races really what they said they were? Are all the things that I've come to know from the expanded universe really things? And honestly, the thing that I'm looking forward to the most is the tween movies. I'm absolutely looking forward to Episode 8, but I'm hoping the tween movies like Rogue One flesh out the universe. I mean, I feel like they knocked a bunch of stuff down that was good to get rid of a bunch of stuff that was horrible, and I'm ready to see them repopulate the expanded universe.
See, for me, I'm excited that means I'll be learning it for, expanded universe has existed as long as I've known about the Star Wars series. But now I get to see new stuff for the first time rather than just sort of hearing about it.
Right. Well, to some extent, it leveled the playing field. I saw the first Star Wars film when I was 2. I am intimately into this series, and the prequels slowly, bit by bit, drained the excitement of Star Wars out of me, and now it's all come rushing back. But
well, the other nice thing is that there's new story, and we don't know what the heck is going to happen. I mean, the one of the problems with the prequels, aside from the fact that they were just bad, is that you always knew where they were going to end up because they had to. So there, maybe there might be some small surprises along the way, but like you knew where that story was going, and now we don't know where the story's going, and that's kind of awesome.
It's like going to see the Titanic. You know what's going to happen. I mean, you knew what the end point and the beginning point of that series was. And this time around, I guess my favorite thing about it is like listening to this when folks listen to this podcast, there are several distinct entry points that are among this group of people that we're here now talking of when we got into Star Wars. So not all of us are, from the original days, and, not all of us, are necessarily from, prequels first. But we all have distinct entry points into the fandom, but now we're for the first time on equal footing.
I feel like I'm going to go out and buy the books again, the new ones.
Well, I really want to read all of these weird little short spin-off books about different characters to try and start piecing together what the universe looks like now.
Lost Stars is probably the best one. It's really good.
That's the one that explains why there's a giant Star Destroyer in Jakku, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Ah, cool.
Like, it explains how it got there. It explains what's going on in Jakku. It makes the First Order make sense.
Yeah, I mean, my assumption is the First Order is basically, the Imperial Remnant by another name, but I definitely want more information about them.
I think Abrams came out and said that before the movie came out.
Well, I guess let's wrap things up and do the where folks can find us thing. Thalen, how about you?
I am at Thalen Firebeard on Twitter, and at some point soon I'll start blogging again, and when I do, it'll show up on AggroChat.
Tam.
I'm at tamriello.com and at tamriello on Twitter, and you can see my stuff on AggroChat.
Neph.
Oh, sorry, I'm here.
Where can folks find you?
You can find me at curlywench on Twitter, and that's about it.
Okay. Grace.
You can find me on Twitter at Disgrace, and my blog is moonshinemansion.wordpress.com or cross-posted at AggroChat.
Dallian.
You can find me on Twitter at Dr_Hannah, and anytime I blog, whatever that is, it will show up on AggroChat.
Ash.
You can find me on Twitter at hidden_wings, or check out other things on AggroChat.
And I, as always, blog daily on Tales of the Aggronaut at aggronaut.com, that cross-post to agrochat.com. And I am mostly available at Belguest on Twitter and Belguest on Nook. And also, coming up soon, if any one of our listeners are going to PAX South, there will be several of us roaming around. Primarily me and Ash and Thalen and Dallian and Ray, some others. But anyway, so we would love to know it if any of our listeners are also going to PAX South. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the show. This ended up a lot weirder than I expected it to, but this is what always happens when we do a thing.
Anything.
Seriously.
I don't know. Yeah, it's a thing. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed yourself, and we will see you again next week. Good night.
Good night.
See you.
Good night.
Bye.
May the Force be with you.
And also with you.
And also with you. So 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 with you.